All right, everybody. I am trying to get this up and running on multiple platforms at the moment. So we'll see if I can get this thing figured out. All right. What I am going to do is I'm going to drop the Zoom link into the chat here. And that way, if you have any questions, you can jump on the Zoom call rather than posting on the Facebook Live, if that would be easier for you. So I'll paste it in here. So if you want to jump on Zoom, feel free to hop on there and we can talk directly. Okay, so let me, there's a few other places where this is getting broadcast. I don't see if this actually makes it out there. So I've got it going on Instagram and YouTube at the moment, as well as Facebook. And if you're watching this on Facebook, just go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. I am trying to figure out how I can see who's on Facebook right now at the moment. I'm trying to figure out how I can see who's on Facebook right now at the moment. Okay, so Chris is saying no audio on Instagram. I hear it on Instagram. I have a separate account pulled up right now, and I'm hearing myself. Okay, so Chris is saying no audio on Instagram. I hear it on Instagram. I have a separate account pulled up right now. I'm hearing myself. Hey, Hab, what's going on? Hey, Hab, what's going on?
Hey, what's up? This is Naseem.
Oh, the same. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you?
Good. Are you the one that's labeled Zoom user on the on Zoom right now?
Yeah. I think there is only me and you.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't put out the Zoom link initially. So last time I had a bunch of people that joined the Zoom link, and then I had a bunch of people that just joined Facebook Live as well. I think Zoom is probably easier, so I think I'm just gonna publish that link out there moving forward. I see Chris just jumped on Facebook Live. So how you been doing?
Well, it's been quiet a little bit
Yeah.
for the market, I think.
Buyer side or seller side or both?
Well, I think both. The price dropped and maybe the interest rate is high, so many things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think? The price will drop a little more or no?
Probably. I don't know much more than it has already, but I think the seller's expectations are still a little bit unrealistic right now. So I think we got to wait for the sellers to readjust what they think they can get for their place before we start seeing, some more off-market transactions go through. So Ab's asking what today's live is about. Yeah, I'm just starting to host a once a week Ask Me Anything office hours where we can talk and ask questions, share experiences, and things like that. I'm still trying to figure out the best way to go about doing this as far as how to get this out there on multiple platforms and yet publish it and then get people's questions and then just people able to actually log into it, because it looks like there's not nearly as many people logged into the Zoom call today. So anyway, we'll see if some people start filtering in, but how have things been going with you, Ahab? So Ahab is in.
Well, with me, I'm pretty new in the real estate business,
Mhm.
but I would like to work with someone my first few deals, and then I'm probably gonna go myself as well. So that's what I want to do. That's what I message you for the partnering app. I think.
Yeah. So are you located in Seattle?
Yeah, I'm in Seattle, in Kent.
Okay, cool. And have you done any deals yet at this point?
Well, I haven't done any yet, so I'm looking and researching and see if I can find something good so I can maybe hold it or flip it or maybe rent it out. So
Okay. All right, cool. So what is your end goal?
well, I would like to buy and sell it back in a few months, and like a flip maybe.
Mhm.
And if not, so I just rent it out and move on. So
Mhm.
yeah, that's the goal.
So what got you interested in real estate?
Well, long time ago I was with someone, so my friend, so he was doing it and he told me to try some, so that's why I got interested. I said, let's see.
Okay. And what is your friend doing? Is he doing flips
He's-
or
yeah,
rentals?
he still do flips, and mostly he's doing rentals.
Okay, cool. In this area here or?
So he's in Houston, Texas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably a better rental market than Seattle is, I would imagine.
Yeah.
So probably the cash flow there is better. It's hard to especially single family houses in the Seattle area. It's hard to get them to cash flow just because prices are so high relative to what they're renting for.
What's your thought about the one you just sent me? Is that a good flip or maybe a good
Yeah, so
thing?
that deal is probably more of a rental deal. So this is in the Mount Baker neighborhood. I think that's the one you're referring to in
Yeah,
Seattle.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that one's probably uh a better rental deal than a flip, just because there isn't a whole lot of margin on it. And so yeah, and for me personally, the types of rental deals that I like to do are the ones where there's no capital left in the deal after all is said and done. Like you buy it with hard money or private money, you do the rehab work, and then you refi it, and you have enough equity in there where you can actually pull all of your initial capital back out, and then you have no money left in the deal. So it's basically like a free house. This one isn't going to quite meet that criteria for me, but not every investor has their own criteria. and some, investors are fine leaving, capital in the deal if it's like in an area that they like, and they see future appreciation or rent growth, or they just like the area. So hey Stephen, hey Will, how's it going? If you guys want to jump on the Zoom call, I put the link there into the comments. So if you want to actually like jump on here, you can feel free to do that. So yeah, a lot of those types of deals that I've done have actually been in the Midwest, in Oklahoma and Indiana. I've done a couple of those types of deals in Seattle, but it's pretty rare where you see that. So from my point of view, like, this isn't a deal I wouldn't keep for myself personally, but it could be something that works for somebody else, right?
Okay.
But I think I've got some other deals that would be good flip candidates that I would be interested in partnering up with people on to take down myself and keep, rather than wholesaling them. And I think moving forward, that's something that I'm going to be looking at doing more of, is keeping these as flips rather than wholesaling them, because I'm seeing a lot of buyers right now are just scared or sitting on the sidelines. And some of these properties are pretty good deals at the numbers we have them at. It's just that the buyer pool is a lot smaller than it was 6 months ago.
That's true.
Yeah, and I'm hating to pass up on these deals, right? So I'm not only seeing like single family houses around Seattle, but I'm also looking at other types of deals in other parts of the country, such as self-storage facilities and mobile home parks, where the numbers on these look really good. And if you're willing to put in the work, most of these are value add, which means they're being either mismanaged or in their really bad shape. But there's definitely a lot of upside there for somebody that's willing to step in and is willing to take on that work. So I'm going to be looking for partners that are interested in doing, looking at other asset classes as well, that where the potential of the capital is going to be a lot higher than family house in Seattle. But
Okay.
yeah. So let's see.
Well, yeah, let me know. So yeah, I am definitely interested to do some deals and move on,
Yeah, for sure. So what's your day job then?
Well, I have an online store that I manage.
Okay.
I sell phones and all kind of electronics I sell.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly Apple products I sell in my store and through a few platforms that I sell.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So are you drop shipping them, or are you actually like having them housed at a warehouse somewhere and then fulfilling them yourself?
No, I have the products and I do everything myself.
Okay.
I have the products and I ship it and I label it and everything I do myself. So it's a little busy since I'm by myself.
Mm-hmm.
But it's okay, it's December, it's busy. I got so far I got 15 orders so to ship.
Cool. How long have you been doing that for?
I've been doing this for about 4 years.
Okay.
Yeah, about 1 million sale.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and in a year.
What were you doing prior to that?
I had a store before, actual store, and during COVID, I closed that store.
Okay. You
I
went
went
online.
Yeah, I went online. Now doing everything from my home.
Okay. Let's see here. Chris is asking, what are you looking for when you vet your partners? Think just really an understanding of the risks involved and that they're okay with it. And also just personality wise, if somebody is, you know, doesn't have the either the right risk tolerance or the timeline that they might potentially need their capital back is not going to work for the potential deal. You don't want to end up in a situation where you place somebody's capital into a deal and you're going to need it for 8 to 12 months, and then 4 months into it they let you know that they need it back, and then you're kind of in a hard place because you got to either try to get somebody else in there to plug the gap, or somehow get them to come along and see it through to the end. So, and it just depends too on how the deal is structured, I guess, whether or not they're an equity partner or a debt partner. Scott McLean, what is going on? Good to see you on here. I saw your comments on to the studs deal down in Auburn. How are things in Oklahoma City right now? Oh, at a closing. Wow. Multitasking. At least somebody's closing deals right now. I get the sense that Oklahoma City isn't getting hit as hard as Seattle has been. I have a property that I'm just putting on the market now down there. It's a rental. Bought it for 55,000, put about 30,000 into it, so all in for about 85,000, and it's rented for about $1,000 a month right now. I'll be putting it on the market for 117 and see how it goes. This is Scott is waiting for a check. Well, today is a good day for you. So that was a bird deal, actually. That was like a thing that was a bird deal gone bad, where the appraisal blew up the deal. So, and this is like the thing that, like, this is the hardest thing about bird deals that, like, I feel like nobody talks about, is like the refinance part. Okay, so you got to find the deal, right? You need to find value add, that something is priced enough to for you to have equity in it. Then you got to rehab it, right? Those both seem like they're difficult. Seems like the refi part is like the easiest part, but that to me has blown up a number of deals that could have worked. So on this deal, after everything was done, I ended up, getting it appraised because the lender needed an appraisal, and it appraised for 85,000, which is what I was into it for. So the lender only wanted to give me a loan for I don't know, 55 or 60 or something like that. So and this process had taken forever. Like, the lender was asking for all this documentation, and I was like, this house has been more trouble than it's been worth. So because the appraisal came in low, I looked at contesting it. The lender's like, we're not having any luck contesting appraisals right now. Even though there's comps to support 115K ARV, and this one came in at 85. They're like, yeah, the chances that you're going to get this appraisal to change from 85 up to above 100 are pretty slim. So I decided I'm just gonna sell this thing rather than trying to either contest the appraisal or start the process again with a different lender. And this isn't the first time that an appraiser has blown up the deal. So and I feel like this is not talked about with BRRRR deals very much, is how much hinges on this refi refi and whether or not the numbers come in where you need them to in order to be able to get as much of your capital back out of the deal as possible. So, I mean, I also had to go the other way where it appraised for way more than I thought it was going to, and I ended up getting more cash back out of the refi than I had anticipated, right? Sometimes even more than I had actually put into the deal. And those are the amazing deals where you're like, you got a property that cash flows and then you actually get money back into your pocket. So you like got paid to acquire this cash flowing asset. So anyway, Will Coggins is on the call. Are you able to talk? I don't know if he can hear me. So I also was supposed to be broadcasting this to Jamil Damji's group, who had quite a few people RSVP to it, and I am not seeing it show up over there. We got some people over on Instagram. Chris, what's going on? Jason, how's it going? I don't know if you guys can hear me or not. Will, if you're able to talk, I'd be really curious to hear what you're up to momentarily. Okay, so you dropped a message in the chat. Oh, Steven from Astro, how's it going? Are you seeing this on the Astro? Is this being broadcast on the Astro Facebook group, or are you just seeing it on my regular Facebook page? All right, Jason. Jason's hearing me on Instagram. Thanks for sharing about the appraisals. Yeah, it's crazy. I had 3 appraisals done on one property. I had a deal in Indianapolis where it was a BRRRR deal. I was doing a duplex to townhome conversion. So I took a duplex. I had the tax parcels, 2 tax parcels created. So basically I was going to be able to sell the units individually. So before I bought it, the hard money lender had an appraisal done. And I was thinking ARV on this was going to be around 400 for both units together. So the ARV came in. So the hard money lender had an appraisal done before the work was completed, like before it started. So I gave them the scope of work and they said, oh, here's the after repair value is going to be 270 or something like that. And which didn't really matter at the time. I knew it was going to be higher than that, but I was just needing cash to complete the rehab. So I didn't really care what the appraisal on that was at the time. But then when everything was said and done, you know, I had it on the market for a little bit, and then I decided to take it off. It was during COVID because I was getting no showings on it. It was listed for 440. And so I refied it, had it appraised. It appraised at 470. So it sat on the market for 6 weeks, barely any showings. And then it appraised for higher than I had it listed for, which to me made no sense at all. And then that lender fell through because I was Airbnb-ing these, and they said they wouldn't lend on a short-term rental. So I had to get another lender who had done another appraisal then, and that appraisal came out at like 540. And I was like, how is this possible? It just was sitting on the market at 440. And now this appraiser is saying it's worth 540, right? So this was a deal that where the appraisal went in my favor, and I ended up getting back way more cash than I had anticipated getting on this deal. So Steven says he's seeing on the Astro Facebook page and my page. So Steven, on the Astro Facebook page, are people posting comments there? Because I can't see it. So I don't know if people are watching it there, and I'm just not seeing what's going on there. Because I'm looking at the live feed and what I think is the Astro group, and Facebook is saying nobody is watching it over there. So I'm not sure what is going on because I can't see it. So Jason's asking, they didn't accept the transfer appraisal. So no, they want to do their own appraisal. That lender wanted to do their own appraisal on it. So it was interesting though, because that appraiser wanted to see the previous appraisal that was at 470 or whatever it was. So I sent her those, and then she came back with 540, which, to me, it didn't make any sense. So I don't know. It seems like a totally subjective process that like so much hinges on. I always bite my nails when I'm waiting for an appraisal to come back on either a property I'm selling or a property I'm refinancing. I mean, I've had appraisals that have blown up sales as well. Like, and same thing, two appraisals get done within a few weeks of each other and they're completely different, right? So anyway, on this particular deal in Oklahoma City, it didn't work out. Maybe it worked out in my favor. I don't know. I would have rather kept this as a cash flowing rental at $1,000 a month. The mortgage would have been like 550 or something like that. So it probably would have made $300 after expenses and stuff. But if I can end up selling it for 115, I guess I'll make a nice profit as a flip on it. It just wasn't the preferred exit strategy. And I guess this is another thing too, is like, it's really good to have multiple exit strategies on a deal, right? The fact that I'm able to sell this for more than I've put into it, right? Even though the refi didn't work out, I'm still not going to lose money on this deal because, when I went into it, the numbers would have worked if I kept it as a rental or if I ended up flipping it. All right, Steven. So it's just listed as an event notification. I don't see any posts underneath it. Yeah, I wasn't sure about how this would work out. Trying to stream it to my own page and a Facebook group at the same time. So let's see here. It looks like Nassim dropped off the call. So Steven, how long have you been in the Astro group for? And by the way, anybody that doesn't know what Astro is, so Jamil Damji and Josiah Grimes run a mentorship group for wholesaling. They're based out of Arizona, but they've got a pretty big mentorship group there now that has a few thousand people in it, I believe. And I had joined it really early on back in 2018. So I was probably in the first 50 people or so in that group, and it has grown a tremendous amount since then. And a lot of my success in wholesaling and finding deals has been from that, the things that I've learned from that group. So if anybody is debating on getting into wholesaling or anything in real estate for that matter, I would definitely recommend getting connected with some sort of mentorship group, and whether it's, Jamil or there's a number of other groups out there, just finding somebody that you resonate with. And because that's going to be the biggest thing, is if you don't resonate with them and you don't necessarily either agree or are comfortable with the types of strategies that they're teaching, that's going to be a huge part, because when things get difficult, if it's not something that you can really get behind and do, it's gonna be hard to continue when things aren't going so well. So
Hey, Rob, can you hear me?
oh yeah, Mr. Will,
What's
what's
up? How's it
going on?
going, man?
Good. How are you doing?
Good, good. Had a quick question for you, or kind of a series of questions. I'm kind of at a point in my business right now where I'm trying to really audit the highest and best use of my time, and I would love to bring on a quality VA to assist with outreach.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically, I mean, I don't mind doing follow-up myself, and obviously, that's something that we as wholesalers do, pretty regularly. But what is your uh team structure look like as far as, hey, like these are the people I have who are doing outreach? What was it like when you brought on a VA to do that outreach? Can you just talk about that for a little bit, like what that experience was like for you?
Yeah. So by outreach, are you talking about like to agents or wholesalers or sellers, or what are you looking to have the VA do?
In this particular case, probably like Facebook outreach to wholesalers.
Okay.
For the agents, I mean, that I feel like that would be more of a, an acquisition manager or a me task,
Mm-hmm.
because I've just been doing everything myself.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is very time consuming.
Absolutely.
Yeah, time consuming, and like you have to have really the thing about Facebook, doing the outreach on Facebook that I dislike immensely is like there's no way to like organize messages in Facebook. Like it's not like email, or it's hard to just like tag like who do I need to like who do I need to follow up with, who responded and I didn't see it because their messages got pushed so far down on my list. So yeah, having somebody that's like super organized that and has a lot of attention to detail for making sure people are getting followed up with and answered is pretty huge. But yeah, so that's pretty much like the first role I had filled, was getting somebody in to handle that outreach. And so I don't know if Paul is watching this, but he's been pretty much a rock star at that. And Paul is in the Philippines, and he's the one that is usually responding to people that post, that answer inquiries about deals, and then he's doing outreach on Facebook to other wholesalers, looking for people that have deals and need some help selling them. So yeah, I think that's like an awesome, probably first role to fill for you. So I guess what is your question specifically then around that?
Yeah. So when you either when or before you brought that person on, did you have any kind of structured onboarding or training program, or did you train them as you go and just kind of implemented what you had done on your own, and then kind of, you know, gone over laterally to give them what they need to do?
Yeah, so I mean, if I could do it again, what I would probably do is kind of come up with a, like standard operating procedure as far as here's how outreach is done, right? And I don't know if you're familiar with Loom or not.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a video recording software for people that don't know. So you can basically record your screen. It puts a little like picture of you down in the corner of it. But it's really, really good for illustrating tasks. So I love using this to say, okay, here's how we find buyers in PropStream, or here's how using investor lift God mode, or here's how we save Facebook message threads in our CRM Podio. So what I would probably do is like record myself doing the outreach on Facebook. This is how I do it, and put it on Loom, and any other like variations of that. If you could record that and say, okay, here's one situation, here's how you respond to something else. If you're having a conversation with a wholesaler about something that you already have an established relationship with, for example, versus a wholesaler you're just reaching out to for the first time. But recording like short videos like that, I think could help speed up the onboarding process with them, because then you're not necessarily having to sit with them for an extended period of time while they're getting up to speed, on it.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. So, and then Paul, he's gotten pretty good at like impersonating me on Facebook. So he uses a lot of the same mannerisms I do as when I'm chatting with somebody online, like using words like wanna, gonna, stuff like that. So it's kind of funny. So he's at the point where he's like comfortable enough to, kind of take it a little bit more. And I know some assistants aren't like, they're very much want just a very well-defined task to do, and then they do that. And then others, like, you can give them a little more leeway and allow them to come up with their own ideas about things or different things to try, right? And so those are the kind of the best, and when you give them a little bit of freedom and they're okay with like, okay, I can try to do this, rather than just like, oh, okay, here's like the 3 different canned responses I'm supposed to give to somebody, when I'm talking to them online about a deal. And that will probably come with comfort level too, maybe with the virtual assistant. The longer they work with you, the more comfort they have around the terminology and how things work, so, but yeah, I think that's like the perfect first role to have somebody start doing for you, because then it frees up your time to do something else, and you've leveraged your time, and somebody else is doing all that outreach.
Absolutely. Cool.
So I'm just looking at people that are posting online. So Steven's been in Astro for about 4 months now in Arizona. That is awesome. How are you liking it so far? So Will, you started it. You started in Astro as well, right?
I did. Yeah, I started around the first of this year, actually.
Okay. So are you still on the calls and stuff like that, or what's the involvement been recently with it?
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually heard you say something. I think it was on your previous call. Man, those coaching calls now have like 200 to 300 people on there, and to get a question answered, it takes quite some time. Mostly just been networking and communicating with people in the group, just outside of chats and stuff, or outside of posting, just in Messenger and text and things like that. Haven't been I've more just been focusing on my business rather than staying super into the Astro group right now. But yeah, I mean, there's still tons of value coming through the group. It's a great community, lots of hardworking people.
Yeah, for sure. The group itself is awesome. Yeah, I struggle with the coaching calls now just because there's so many people on them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it used to be like when I was on there was maybe 15 people on it at the time. So it was a whole different story. I was able, spend an hour or so with Josiah, picking his brain about stuff. And now, you're lucky if you're able to actually get a question in on the call. It's really more for, hearing other people's experiences, and hopefully somebody else is asking a question that you might, be interested in hearing about. So yeah, I ended up joining Ryan Zolan's, I don't know if you're familiar with him or not, his mentorship group.
Yeah, how's that been for you?
It's been good. So he was like one of the first Astro students, and he's been focusing a lot on agent outreach and MLS deals. And so I figured, oh, well, with this market, there's like so many deals on the MLS now, right? You can just find motivated sellers on the MLS. Why do you need to like even go try to find other wholesalers. So you got these sellers that are like sitting here saying, oh, I'm motivated. So surely there must be tons of deals sitting on the MLS. And the thing I'm learning now is that might be true, but the numbers that these sellers are wanting are still like way unrealistic. Even though they're at a discount to ARV, maybe these numbers would have worked 6 months ago, but now they don't. So it's been interesting. He's been having to pivot as well because he's in Phoenix, and Phoenix has gotten hit super hard, and they've had to scale back quite a bit from what they were doing. They were doing almost 30 deals a month down there. So Steven says Ryan is a beast. He is a beast. I was just down in Phoenix last 2 weeks ago at his office there with him. So are you part of his group too, Steven? Hey Lisa, how's it going? Saw you just hopped on the Facebook Live there. So what are you working on these days? Well, are you focusing more on Pearson Kitsap, like direct to seller, or are you doing a lot of wholesaler outreach?
Yeah, mostly wholesaler and an agent. I've actually been kind of dialing back the single family space and have been actually gone into the mobile home park space a little bit more lately. And
Okay.
I see that that's something you're starting to dabble in as well.
Yep.
Should I add you to my buyers list?
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So are you looking just in Washington for mobile home park deals, or are you kind of looking wherever you can find them?
Really nationwide. Got a pretty substantial buyers list, especially in Texas and the Sun Belt states. So, I mean, lots and lots of buyers. I've got a pretty close friend of mine who has a pretty amazing buyers list. So, guys that'll pay 6-figure assignment fees, no problem.
Mm. So you have any deals in the pipeline right now?
Yeah, I'm working on one in Georgia that should know either by end of day today or tomorrow whether it'll be assigned, but nothing other than that's imminent. I'm looking for myself in Arizona and Texas.
I got a deal that was sent to me in Arizona. So looking at to take down yourself or to assign?
Absolutely. If it's 20 pads and up, I mean, yeah, for entry level park, I'd love to be in like the 20 to 30 pad space for sure.
Yeah.
Something mostly turnkey, nothing too heavy value add.
Okay, this is value add for sure. 30 pads. But it's definitely a value add. So I'm looking for a value add park. So I was looking at a deal in Oklahoma. I just had a conversation. It was from another wholesaler, and then the owner didn't know that the wholesaler was going to wholesale it, and then so didn't want to go through with the deal. And he's like, the wholesaler sent it to me. It's just like, hey, send me can do like a 6% referral fee or something like that if you end up closing on this thing. And seller wanted $250 for it at the time, which seemed reasonable for the condition it was in. So I called the seller up. Seller said, call my agent. I've got an agent now. So I called the agent, and he's like, oh yeah, I've got a buyer for this at $350.
Oh.
And I'm like, wow, okay. Because I was just talking, I was like, a friend of mine just sent me this deal, and it was at $250. Like, yeah. So I don't know if this buyer is real or this agent is just trying to make it seem like he's got somebody. So I'll follow up with him again in a week or so and see if this guy is actually serious. But it needs a lot of work. But $250 for like 30 pads, and there's pretty big upside to it. But yeah, the one in Arizona is definitely a value add as well. It's not going to be something that you're going to might cash flow from day one, but not very much. And you're going to need some capital to put in there to infill. So there's quite a few vacant spaces. And a lot of there's a number of trailers that probably gonna need to be just torn out of there because they're in such bad shape. So
Okay. Are you direct with the contact who has it?
I'm direct to wholesalers.
Okay.
I saw somebody post that actually in the Astro group. It was like, hey, I've got this deal I'm direct to wholesaler on. I'm like, what does that even mean? How many wholesalers are between you and the you and the seller? But I got a laugh out of that term, so I'm going to start using it. So have you signed a deal yet? Have you wholesaled a mobile deal yet?
No, not yet. Inching that way though. We'll see how the next couple days transpire. This one in Georgia was, man, it was brought to me through another wholesaler, and then other wholesalers have tried to, it's all daisy chain, but you know,
What
I
do the
guess
numbers look like on it?
extreme value add.
Mhm.
Lots of growth in the area. There's you might have seen the deal, honestly. Lots of growth in the area. Tons of vacant lots. I mean, the seller has no numbers. I mean, it would pretty much be like a ground up
No,
park.
no financials.
Yeah, no, none of that. Grandfathered in on this from the via the zoning department, like all of that. So
Oh, I actually might have seen this deal. How many pads is it?
38.
Okay.
Yeah, you probably have
What's the ask price on it again?
200K.
200K? Wow.
200K.
How many are actually occupied?
5.
Okay. Are they paying rent?
Yes.
Okay, I don't think I've seen this deal. 200K would have piqued my interest.
It's a tough one though, because again, the zoning, it's not zoned mobile home park,
Mm.
but there's a bunch of individual parcels.
Mhm.
And this is something like I was working with him on, and then just kind of frankly walked away because I'm like, this thing is kind of a lost cause. But had an investor randomly hit me up out of the blue last week and was like, hey, you still have this deal? And I was like, I didn't blast it out. Who's your contact?
Mhm.
You ever get those where people will just randomly like hit you up and you're like, I didn't blast this out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That happens all the time, actually.
So funny how that works.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah, if the zoning isn't right on that, I probably wouldn't want to look at it. But yeah, anything you get, send it over to me. I'm probably looking in that 20 to 50 range as well. And I think I would prefer, and I'm kind of curious actually hear what your strategy is, but I think I would prefer value add because the whole thing would be trying to burr this, right?
Right.
And using private money or hard money to acquire it, infill it with trailers, stabilize it, and then after 18 24 months turn around and get permanent financing in place and hopefully pull all the capital back out and then some once it's cash flowing. So what are you looking at trying to do?
Pretty similar. I think that as give me one sec. As far as jumping into it, I mean, you know, maybe it's just comfort level, starting with something that's not quite as much of an overhaul. But definitely want to do some burrs, definitely want to hold some long term. Kind of a little bit of everything. I mean, considering how crazy expensive apartment rents are now, I mean, that entire asset class is on the rise, but virtually I mean, that kind of affordable housing in my mind is like the last frontier between, I mean, that's the end, you
Mhm.
know, I mean, it's lot rents that are $300 to $500 a month in a place where, you know, apartment rents are 1,200 a month and up. Like it just seems to make the most sense going forward as far as
Mhm.
commercial goes.
Yeah, and you know, a lot more recession proof as well, or resistant, maybe a lot more recession resistant. So that's one reason I'm pretty keen on seeing if I can, that and self-storage, right? I don't know. Just seeing some of the reading some of the stuff about self-storage, and you know owning self-storage during COVID would have been much more preferable to owning rental properties. You know, definitely don't have the same eviction rules around people's stuff. Didn't have people that maybe had people stop paying, but I was like at a 40% non-payment rate at one point, during COVID, and I was pretty powerless to do anything about it because I couldn't evict them, right? So I'm stuck paying all these mortgages and property taxes and expenses, and I can't, remove the people that are, not paying me to live there. So self-storage is a bit of a different story as far as that goes. So
As far as your involvement in the park space, I mean, it are you just going to spend more time here and there on looking for parks and just kind of have your residential wholesale business kind of automated in the background?
yeah, so that's what I'm trying to get to long term is, really to delegate the wholesaling portion to, so I have an acquisition manager that's able to run the numbers on everything. I don't have to look over every deal. I can, and then on the same thing on the dispo side, right? Somebody negotiating with the sellers. And so I can step back and just look at the higher level stuff and then focus my time on finding deals outside this market. But I think I'd even need help with that as far as managing, rehab if I'm looking at doing multiple projects at once. So, so Lisa's asking if I purchased a mobile home park, would I purchase the mobiles for people to occupy, and how would that work with a hard money lender? So yeah, good question. So the idea would be like a lot of these parks that I'm looking at have quite a few vacant spaces. So getting the trailers there is not a trivial task, because they can sometimes be hard to come by, and you almost never can just advertise like a vacant space in a mobile home park and have somebody just bring their own trailer there. Like you have to be proactive, put a trailer there, and then what you can do one of two things at that point. You can either sell the trailer to the resident on owner financing, which means maybe they give you a small down payment and then pay you, finance the rest of it. And so they're paying you the rental fee for the pad itself, and then they're paying you back on the loan for the trailer. And then the other option is you rent the trailers. You could rent the trailers. You buy the trailer, you rent it, and you own it as the park. And there's arguments for doing one or the other. I think I would prefer to not own the trailer because then I'm not responsible for any of the maintenance on it. That's off on the owner. But I know some people that prefer to own the trailers because then they can charge more for rent for them. And so if they're looking to maximize their cash flow, they look at the maintenance versus what they're getting additional rent, and it's a trade-off that's worth it for them. So as far as how that works with the hard money lender, so a hard money lender isn't going to finance the purchase of the trailers, right? They're not going to, lend you money to go buy used mobile homes to put on in your park. but there are lenders that specialize in doing that sort of thing. So they'll lend up to like 90% of the purchase price for the trailer. They bring it in, and then then they will also potentially lend the money to the end buyer, which would pay off. So if I borrowed money, so say I borrowed 20K from this lender to buy a trailer, bring it in, then I got, people that are interested in buying it on owner financing. I would turn them over to this particular lender. They would qualify them. They would give them the loan on it. And then I would sell it to them. They would provide the financing, and my loan to that lender then would get paid back. So there's lenders, most hard money lenders aren't going to touch something like that, but there's a few specialized lenders that will finance the purchase of trailers to then sell on owner financing to an end buyer. So yeah, that's the challenge that I know some people are having, is just finding the trailers right now, because they can be a bit hard to come by, depending on what you're looking for, and also the location. So all right, we'll just dropped off here. I think if there's no other questions, I will be dropping off here shortly as well. I'm just taking a look at Instagram right now. Looks like we're all good here. So any last questions? Drop them in. So Lisa's saying it seems like you need a lot of capital if they're vacant lots. Very interested in owning a mobile home park and RV parks. Yep. So that's the key, is getting a lender on board, because it is pretty capital intensive to bring new trailers into a park. So one of the parks I was looking at, I think there was at least 10 vacant lots, so I was looking at, $250,000 just in trailers. And so, obviously, and then there's the purchase price of the park itself, right? So having a lender on board to do helping with the financing for those would be pretty big if you don't have all the capital yourself, or a private investor that is going to be helping fund those. But have you taken a look at any parks yourself, Lisa? Like started digging into the numbers at all on anything specifically, or are you just kind of playing with the idea of buying a mobile home or RV park? Steven's asking what market I'm in. I'm in the Seattle area, and then I also still look at stuff in Oklahoma and Indiana, just because I already own stuff there. Yeah, so Steven's asking if can send me something if he finds anything. Yeah, so I will look at, I'm looking for small multifamily. By small, I mean maybe up to 30 units, like anywhere in the country. Preferably like Midwest, something that's going to cash flow really well. And then for mobile home parks, self-storage, I'll take a look at those anywhere. And then single family would be Western Washington, like Seattle area. So Stephen, I'll drop my contact info. I'll just DM you right now. So it looks like I'm not friends with you on Facebook, so you might want to check your message requests if it doesn't show up there. So I just DM'd you my email. It's on your bucket buy list. I like that. A bucket buy list. It's on mine too, but I want to do it by the end of the year. All right, I'm going to go ahead and drop off now unless there's any other last minute questions. So I will see you guys next week. I will put the Zoom link out there this time so that you can have more people join the Zoom rather than just being on Facebook Messenger or Facebook Live, because this is a bit cumbersome trying to go through these. So thanks, Stephen. Thanks, Lisa. Will is gone, and I will see you guys next week. Take care.